Hot Topics are in the house with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
People are still trying to process the disturbing new Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, which focuses on decades of child sex abuse allegations against the singer. Now, if you missed it, take a look at the trailer.
R. Kelly is at the top of the charts, but he may be in for a fall. He was arrested today on 21 counts of child pornography.
Kelly is accused of videotaping himself having sex with an underage girl.
Taking advantage of minors will not be tolerated.
God, I can't take another day. I can't do this anymore. It shouldn't have happened. Why didn't anyone notice? We all noticed. No one cared because we were black girls.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So one question asked in the doc is, if all the accusations are true or remotely true or possibly true, how is it that he's gotten away with this for so long? Is it what the young lady says? Is no one listening because these are black girls?
Well,
what do you think?
Probably has something to do with it, because it reminds me of when kids are missing.
Yeah.
You know, and they do the stories about white kids, and they don't cover it when a black kid is missing on the networks.
Yeah.
And also the other thing I thought of, I don't have too much to say about this because I didn't watch it, but a lot of these perps, people have known about it. I mean, the list is Bill Cosby, Les Moonves, Harvey Weinstein, Charlie Rose, Kevin Spacey, Louis C.K., Matt Lauer. There were rumors about all these people before they actually it came to the public's attention. So this is another case.
There's actually video, apparently, of something going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was prosecuted for the child pornography video
and
years ago, and he was found not guilty of that.
Been convicted of any of the charges.
Of any of the charges, and so I think at that point, people thought, well, that if he was found not guilty, I'm going to give him a pass. And I don't know that people understood that the behavior allegedly continued, and the depth and the breadth of it. I certainly didn't know. I know I spent the weekend watching it, and I was not only riveted, but disgusted and just so shocked. I mean, I went through all my devices and I deleted every single R. Kelly song that I had from every single device. And then I thought, well, I've got a law degree. I prosecuted sex crimes. And then I spent the next couple of hours reaching out to, you know, law friends and the legal community and said, what can we do? Because there are still girls that are with him in his studio, and their parents were in the documentary saying, I haven't spoken to my daughter for years, and I think they're being abused. And I thought, how's happening in today's day and age? But to your point, Joy, you're right. I mean, when black women are involved, we know that 90% of those cases are never covered by the media. And black lives, unfortunately, just aren't valued in the same way in our country that white lives
Well,
are.
that would make the reason we have Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
The words themselves. By the way, I have to say alleged. Yeah. Somebody told me alleged.
Yeah, this is allegedly, because this is from the documentary that we're talking about. But if it's true, I think I speak for everyone at this table that's watched it. It is sickening. If you haven't seen it, I would. But what stood out to me was, I think part of what you guys are saying is how much he was and continues to be protected, and how no one was looking out for these young girls, in some cases as young as 14. Tarana Burke was throughout this documentary, and if you don't know who that woman is, you should, because she was the original founder of the Me Too movement 11 years ago, and she did it for underprivileged women of color affected by sexual abuse. And I think as a white woman, I can relate to women, but what highlighted to me that there are real cultural differences. And I think in order to really get to where we want to be, we have to define what better. And I think what she's trying to get to 11 years ago, we're not there yet. And I think it demonstrated that the Me Too movement became a little bit what she was originally wanting it to be about.
Yeah, I also watched the documentary over the weekend. I watched all 6 episodes, binge watched the entire thing on Sunday because once you start watching, it's hard to pull yourself away from it. And two quick. Number one, kudos to John Legend for appearing in this, because my understanding is they reached out to a lot of musicians, and some musicians didn't want to appear on the documentary, and I really think it was very brave of him to do it. Secondly, I want to say that my mother does a lot of work with sex trafficking and human trafficking. Very hard issue to talk about because it's so dark and so gross. I don't know the legalities of what I'm allowed to say on television, but I went away from this documentary thinking R. Kelly has a sex trafficking in his house, that he's just allowed to have girls basically as sex slaves in his house, and we're really not doing anything about it. And allegedly, I'm hearing it in my producer's ear, allegedly, but that's my take away from the documentary. And I believe the parents, I believe the women, I believe the entertainers that were on this. And I do think we're at a cultural tipping point that I don't understand why, if you're so famous, your music is so beloved, you know, I grew up on I Believe I Can Fly, why this still is going on. Because it seemed to me there's a moment in the documentary where a mother is rescuing her daughter, who it seemed to me that she had been brainwashed by this man. So why are we sitting here on The View? I'm not a lawyer. What legally can be done now for these women?
I'm hoping that something that can be done, but it's almost as if, and again, these are allegations, he has gotten smarter, right? So he allegedly married Aaliyah when he was 27, I believe. She was 15. Then he allegedly has sex when he is older, and a girl is 14 years old.
He's married to Andrea at that point.
Right, and he's married to Andrea. Now he starts having sex with a 17-year-old, which is arguably in many states the age of consent. Now he's with girls that are 18, and he's, you know, over the age of 30, over the age of 40. But if he is abusing these girls, if he has brainwashed these girls, like you're saying, then there is something that can be done if he's abusing them. But we've got to get these girls out of this condition, and then they have to testify against him.
He does.
I do need to read a statement.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably got you into this.
No, it's fine. R. Kelly has denied any wrongdoing and has not been convicted of any crimes connected with the allegations. His lawyer reportedly alleges that the documentary allegations and suggests the subjects are his client for personal gain.
You know, it's such an odd way to put this. I mean, just this, what you just read, because I don't know any parent that would sit on television and talk about having to go try to rescue their daughter from someone. I mean, I don't know what the personal gain would be for
That's
them.
why I was having trouble reading it.
You know, it's a strange thing. You know, what I find just interesting about all of this is that people have been brought down for an allegation.
Yeah.
People have hinted that someone might have put their hand near your breast and they're gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how this got this passed for so long, but if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it and
you can
decide.
You can also join the Mute R. Kelly campaign, and kudos to the founders of that, which means don't go to his concerts, don't play his music on radio.
Delete everything from all of your devices.
By the way, his concert in 2016, I was reading this just before he came out on TMZ, that the women that were living with him at the time, and I'm sure many of them are still there, were on the front row cheering him on. Going back to the brainwashing from the women that came out, they say what he does, and we hear this from many stories, he charms you and he makes you believe that he is the only person that can love you, that can give you a career, that can give you anything that you want in life, and if you don't have me, either, you know, I'm going to threaten you or you're not going to have a life.
You know, Megan, I think you mentioned this during one of our Hot Topics meeting, that the record sales went up.
Yes, that's what's interesting. But it's gone up 16% since the documentary.
I didn't understand that.
Because people have an interest in it. When I've heard this, I Googled because I didn't even know what he looked like, even though.
Be careful, you'll get some weird things on.
Yeah, because I'm not really aware of.
Oh, our producer, one of our executive producers, is saying he made a lot of the behavior in his songs, and so perhaps that's one of the reasons why people
all
are
of that may be true. All of that may be true. You have to watch this and make a decision for yourself. What you're seeing.
Yeah, and what you can do.
And if it makes you question, then question and start. You know, you do it with what you listen to or how you respond to something. That's how you protest. We'll be back.
Later, border emergency? The president's face on TV for why America needs a wall now. But is it really a national emergency? hold on. The View's Hot Topics are on fire.
Wait a minute.
Plus, Terry Crews hangs with the ladies, and Chef Jamie Oliver is cooking things up. This week on The View on ABC. New year, new ViewYourDeal.com. We partnered with vendors for at least half off products that'll start your 2019 out on a high note. So get there now.
Welcome back. You know, Hillary Clinton spoke in New York yesterday about how people are still asking the question, is America ready for a female leader? She pointed out how female candidates have to deal with the issue of being likable in a way that men do not. Is she right?
I can only say throughout my entire career, especially as an attorney, I was always one of the only women in the room, one of the only women of color in the room, and I was typically called arrogant, nasty, know-it-all.
Yeah, but they
always
knew
thought always
that
thought I
was a joke, y'all. Come on.
Always thought I, aggressive. Always thought I was smarter than everyone, and the men were called competent, bright, confident. And
Same thing.
Just
Same thing.
always. So
Yeah.
this likability term, I know certain men are called unlikable and disagreeable, but I just felt that it was always projected in my direction.
Let's face
guys
it,
felt that as well?
it's a man's world.
I don't know. I think when we're talking about specifically Hillary Clinton, we don't know anything other than that in terms of a woman running for president. So it's hard because she wasn't that likable.
We know women for running president. We don't know nominees for
We know
presidents.
Geraldine Ferraro.
But the question really is not can a female win for president, but can a female beat Trump?
So,
No, that's not this. No, that's.
Can I give you a little? Go ahead, and then I will.
That's not what this question is. This question is about, does a woman have to be likable in order to win?
So I would say a candidate has to be likable in America to win on one level or another. There are exceptions like Nixon and people like that. But I will say I have publicly called Ted Cruz unlikable. I called Mitt Romney unlikable. Go back, I called Congressman Tancredo unlikable, and that is a very unlikable man for a lot of different reasons. I think in politics, you have to separate out. There is a factor where, when President Obama is playing basketball and fist bumping people, it makes you feel like you're someone who can hang out with him.
Well,
President Bush is someone who can drink beer with.
Obama was not
but
just
I will
likable,
say,
he was lovable.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I disagree with that. But I will say that for women running for office and the women coming up, there's a woman coming on right after this. I would argue so far she seems very likable on TV.
Yeah.
I would say Nikki Haley seems like a very likable woman. Let's take it individual by individual. And I think, unfortunately, Hillary Clinton, I didn't find her likable or appealing for a lot of different
I have to
reasons.
speak for
Hillary Clinton.
I must speak for Hillary Clinton because I know Hillary Clinton. She opened for me once. Seriously. She is extremely likable. Yeah, I was doing comedy, and she made an appearance at the last minute, and she said, "Can I talk before you do your bit?" I said, "Sure, open for me," which she did. But anyway, she is the most likable. She laughs easily. She is adorable.
Why didn't it translate more?
Because she doesn't know what to put out there because of all the pressure that's put on the woman. Should I be the good little wife? No. Should I be the wife who stands for her husband? No. Should I leave my husband? Should I be nice? Should I be should I be serious? The poor girl didn't know what to do next.
She's not a poor girl. She's a tough candidate for president, and you want to be in the arena.
You know what
be in the arena.
Here's what I'll remind everybody of. Do you remember the night that the new guy and she were in the debate?
Yes. He was stalking her.
And he came around behind her and stuff. There were two moderators, and neither one of them said, "Hey, get from behind her."
Back up.
I don't think they think that's their job, Whoopi.
Well, but it is their job. If you are the moderator and one of your candidates is going behind folks, I don't mean this in any way, and doing this.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was doing.
But
no one said, "Hey, that's not how we do this. Stand where you are."
I thought he was trying to physically intimidate
But that
her.
is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. If she had said to him, would you get the hell away from me? People would have
I would have
liked that.
loved it.
Right.
I would have
But
loved it
She's
had she
afraid
said
to
that.
do that because she'll look aggressive.
No, she won't. I'm aggressive all the time on TV. I know a lot of female candidates that are. I shadowed Michelle Bachmann when she was running for president in
You're putting
Iowa.
yourself in the category
I'm
of
just saying-
running for president,
But
and she's running
Michelle
for president.
Bachmann ran for president.
She was the most
she was-
unlikable person I've ever seen on
But
TV.
she didn't. But she didn't.
and
She didn't. But I'm trying to tell you, she didn't make excuses. I interviewed
No,
her.
but-
She didn't make
But
excuses. She
people
said because
didn't like
I'm
her.
a woman.
But people didn't like her
You
for
know what?
that.
I
where
liked
is
her
she
more
now?
after being around
I interviewed
her. but-
Michelle Bachmann. She was a very nice person. The only reason I bring up Trump in 2020 because that's what everyone's talking about. Can a woman go and can they beat Trump? And
So here's the thing. If I saw that, if I saw someone do that to you, I would say, hey, man, don't do that.
If you were the moderator.
If I was the moderator.
Yeah.
Because that's not acceptable behavior.
So it's
and
Anderson Cooper.
they allowed it. Well, I don't know if it's anybody's fault, but I know that it didn't seem to bother anybody that it was happening. And that, to me, told me a lot. Because she has a lot of baggage, Hillary. Whatever side you fall down on her, whether you like her or hate it, she's got baggage for everyone. And for some reason, people thought that behavior by that man was okay. And that's what told me, yes, I know. That's what kind of told me a lot about,
She should have
this
just
is not.
She should have just elbowed.
Well, she should have hit him. She shouldn't have hit him. Don't even listen
I've
to
been
me.
calling people unlikable in politics men for my entire career. It's
Yes.
not her.
Yes. And we'll be back.
Yeah.
Superstar Senator Kamala Harris said she was deciding over the holidays if she'll take on Trump in 2020. So she may have a big announcement to make next.
So when they're instructed,
once.
excuse
Senator,
me, I'm asking the questions.
But I'm trying to answer the question.
If I don't qualify it, you'll accuse me of lying. So I need to be correct as best I can.
I do want you to be
And
honest.
I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
I'll repeat the question. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
Democratic rising star Senator Kamala Harris has been not held back during her first 2 years in office, and she shares her road to the Senate and where it may lead her in a new memoir, The Truths We Hold, An American Journey. Please welcome Senator Kamala Harris. So before we do anything, will you pronounce your name for me, please?
It's Kamala. Just,
Kamala.
Yeah, just think of like a comma and add a la.
Okay.
Okay.
Kamala, like Kamala, which we're used to.
Well, it's not the a.
It's ah.
Yeah, I know
Kamala.
that, but
It's like
the
Just think of what-
emphasis is on the first syllable.
Exactement. Yes.
So we're going to get to the shutdown and everything else in a
Okay.
minute, but I'm being told that I need to ask you this first.
Okay.
Apparently you said you were going to make a decision after the holidays as
did.
to whether you were going to run for president. So I'm supposed to ask you, are you running?
So I'm pleased to announce on The View that I'm not ready to make my announcement yet.
What are you waiting for?
What a great way to launch a women's show.
Best way to do it.
Bipartisan, you have everything
I
you need.
mean, I'm very tempted, but I'm not yet ready. And I think you guys are incredible, and this would be the perfect venue.
So maybe you come back.
Yeah, when you're
Maybe-
ready.
yeah,
This is a
yeah.
good place.
I would love to come back. You know, it's a combination of factors, which really most importantly, it's about my family. I mean, we all know having public lives and the kinds of, and you know, as the daughters of folks who have put themselves out there in that way, the whole family pays the price and goes through the process.
You could always put them in your cabinet like some people.
Well, they actually have other interests, thank God. So we'll make a decision, and we'll make it soon.
What about this likability factor we were just talking about? Is it harder for a woman, or do you think, you know, I said this yesterday, but George W. Bush, everybody said, oh, he's the one you could want to have a beer with. Yeah, he'll make a great president because we want to get drunk with him.
Yeah.
Is that worse for a woman, though, that whole idea?
Well, I think that women are held to a different standard as a general matter, and because there are just so few examples of women in these roles that people are searching for what should be the standard. Instead of understanding that the attributes of a leader really are not particular to gender. They are about qualifications. They are about one's desire to lead. It is about one's ability to actually be relevant to the people that they represent, to be innovative, to have a vision. Those should be the standards. So perhaps if we just were unable to see the gender of those who have been leaders, we would understand that it's not specific to gender or one's physical presence or being. It really should be about their capacity, their willingness, and their ability to lead.
So why is it that in this we have this? I mean, I think of managers of big companies, Jeff Bezos and Robert Iger. I mean, maybe they're likable. Robert Iger certainly is. I don't know about Jeff Bezos. Is it relevant if they can manage the company?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But I think that we still have a long way to go. I mean, look. When I first, a lot of my book is about my mother. I think I've been influenced by many people. My mother was probably the biggest influence on my life. And when I first ran for district attorney of San Francisco, I ran as the first woman. And I was elected as the first woman of color of any county in the state of California. When I ran for Attorney General of California, I ran as the first woman. And I was the first person of color to be what they call the top cop of the biggest state in this country. And I remember when I first ran for DA, my mother said, now, honey, be careful, because despite a woman's role in the world, there are still certain myths about what a woman can and cannot do.
Yes.
And in particular, the myth that, you know, well, we don't know if we want to have a woman be in charge of your safety or your money. In spite of the fact that it is the woman who is the lioness.
Oh, yes.
Protecting those cubs.
Well, he's
in spite of the fact that it is the woman at that kitchen table at midnight balancing those books.
That's true.
Right? So there are so many myths that we still are challenged with, but with each woman who gains success, I think there is a greater appreciation and understanding of the capacity and the breadth and depth of who women are and what we can do. But there are still barriers to be broken. I mean, listen, I mentor a lot of people, and I found myself saying to them, you know, I think you guys need to be aware of this. Breaking barriers doesn't mean you start on one side of the barrier and you just show up on the other side. There's breaking involved. And breaking is painful. It hurts. Sometimes you get cut, but it will be worth it. And, you know, when I say this to especially the young women I mentor, they look and they're very scared. And I say, you know, I don't say this to scare you, but to prepare you. Breaking barriers is not easy, but it is worth it. It is worth it.
Well, you know, I always wonder, we all thought, I think, many of us, that after President Obama, we were in sort of this post-racial society, and we're talking about the role of a woman, and you were the first woman of color as an Attorney General of the state of California, and I was so proud to have seen you do that. Is this country, after what Trump has unleashed and what we have seen, ready for the first woman of color president?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, and I'm not saying that about myself, but I am saying that about the capacity of the American public. And we need to give the American public more credit.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
I really do.
I mean,
sorry to interject.
But that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Give the people more credit. They are smarter than that. When people are waking up in the middle of the night with the thing that has been weighing on them, that thought that has been weighing on them, first of all, they are not waking up thinking that thought through the lens of the party with which they're registered to vote. When they wake up thinking that thought, they are not thinking it through some demographic a pollster put us in, right? And when they wake up thinking that thought, it usually has to do with one of just a very few things: their personal health, the health of their children or their parents, Can I get a job, keep a job, pay the bills by the end of the month, retire with dignity? The vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And through that lens, we look at and look to leadership. Understanding, is there commonality? Do you see me? Do you understand my circumstance? And that's what we want in our leaders, more than first looking to determine if a leader is the gender or race that we prefer.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. That's what I believe.
On this same point, I had another question, but I think you're onto something really great. And at a time when, regardless of party, this country needs a lot of healing right now.
Yeah.
If you were to run against a President Trump who does make comments about women and their appearances, how do you handle that? How does someone in your position likes to handle things, to rise above it all, can you survive in that environment? Can you be successful by not going down in the mud?
I absolutely believe so. And I think that there is something to be said for the nobility of the office of the President of the United States, and anyone who aspires to serve in that office has to give it, and the process by which one is blessed and hopefully has the ability to serve, give it the dignity it deserves. And that means the responsibility of using one's voice in a way that it's about elevating public discourse, educating the public, representing voices that must be represented, and especially those who often are not represented or can't be heard or aren't heard. And that mission is so important, and that responsibility is so significant, that I just frankly feel that one should not have the bandwidth to engage in childish banter.
So, I want you to hold that note, because there's more with Senator Kamala Harris when we come back.
WNEP.
We're back with Senator Kamala Harris. Megan.
Yes, I was just having a nice conversation with you during the break. So I wanted to ask, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's new darling of the party. She officially has more Twitter followers than Nancy Pelosi. She was on 60 Minutes this weekend, proudly calling herself a radical. And she's promoting policies like saying that every single carbon emission in the country, every car, should be eliminated within the next 11 years, everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate. Do you agree that she could possibly, in this ideology of the socialist left, could splinter your party?
No. You know, I think that she is challenging the status quo. I think that's fantastic. I think that, you know, I used to teach before, especially before in the last few years. And the thing that I always loved about teaching was when you teach, it requires you to defend the premise. And it requires you to re-examine the premise and question, is it still relevant? Does it have impact? Does it have meaning? And I think that she is introducing bold ideas that should be discussed. And I think it's good for the party. I frankly think it's good for the country. Let's look at the bold ideas. And I'm eager that we have those discussions. And when we are able to defend the status quo, then do it. And if if there's not merit to that, then let's explore new ideas.
Okay. Do you, Congressman Rashida Tlaib saying she wants to impeach the obscenity. What do you think of that kind of rhetoric? Because I was under the impression the Democratic Party is when they go low, we go high, and now it's impeach the I can't say it on television.
I mean, honestly, my candid response is that she is not the first, nor will she be the last person to curse in public. I mean, now, you know, and so that's my response. That's my response. But I do believe that there is certainly, we all know this, right? It's the subject of the conversations that you all have at such an incredible level at this table daily, which is people are feeling very passionate right now in our country, and they're expressing those views in a variety of ways. I also do believe that that in the passion, what we also do have to check as a separate matter is that there are also very, right now, powerful voices in our country that are sowing hate and division among us.
Yeah.
And we also need to check that.
Check that.
And
Check
deal
that.
with that.
You know,
Because that, you know, back to the earlier point, we really do all have so much more in common than what separates us. And I think that it is just not healthy for our country. I mean, one of the reasons I wrote the book, I'm going to just shamefully plug my book again, is
It's the name of the book?
The Truth We Hold, an
Hold,
American
yes.
Journey. I can hold it up. There it is. But we're at an inflection point in our country and in the world, right? Regardless of what would have happened in November of 2016, we are at an inflection point. If you think about it, there are emerging and descending economies. Populations are shifting for a variety of reasons, including climate change, which we should be talking more about. Technology, automation, we're going through an industrial revolution. There is so much happening right now in the world. And my concern is that in this inflection moment, let's not lose sight of what should be our vision about how we can address and deal with, one, the sources of issues that are making people feel displaced and feeling left out.
Yeah.
But also address what we need to do to actually take charge in this growing and changing world. And there's no time for us to spend full time staring at our belly button when the world might be passing us by. And that's why I say that the rhetoric that causes division among us is not productive, and it is not reflective of who we really are as a people.
And you know, that being said, we'd like to come back with a little more with you.
Okay.
So sit tight. We'll be right back.
Sure, you love watching The View.
Oh my God, I love it.
Just trust me on this.
But during commercial breaks, you wouldn't believe what happens. Cause yeah, we love our audience that much, and anything goes. For your chance to experience the fun, go to oneiota.com for free tickets.
America! We're back with Senator Kamala Harris. Like how I said it?
Yeah, you did it.
So we are now in day 18 of Trump's shutdown. Let's call it what it is. It's his shutdown. And, you know, he's going to give a speech tonight. There's going to be a lot of lies in the speech. You know, we know that. The networks, to my opinion, need to, like, chyron the truth and have a delay so that they can say the truth. But what if he's effective? What if he actually convinces people of these lies? What will the Democrats do?
Well, we have to keep speaking truth. There's no question. Whenever, you know, faced with a lie, we have to speak truth. Again, that's part of my book. And it's going to be about the media. I mean, I think that there's no question that the American public is increasingly starting to understand that they do need to question the veracity of the administration's statements. But for good reason. But for good reason. We're 2 years into an administration that has proven itself, and there's plenty of empirical evidence, that there are statements that are being made that are just simply not the truth, and are frankly often, especially leading up to the midterms, pardon this term, propaganda.
Right.
And we have to call it what it is. And again, the American public deserves better. We have enough problems. One doesn't need to create a problem. One does not need to create a problem. This issue is about a vanity project for this president.
Right.
And it is a problem of his own making.
Right.
And listen, when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on,
You know what?
instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including the Attorney General of California, I specialize on transnational criminal organizations.
Yeah.
That wall ain't gonna stop them.
No. State of emergency, that's an issue.
So here's what I love, because in the book you write about working on the Senate Intelligence Committee and the fears you have about the elections being interfered with. And you said something I have been saying forever and ever, and I'm going to say 45 seconds. You've been saying that it's time for us to go back to paper ballots. Why?
Because Russia can't hack a piece of paper.
There you go.
There you go.
Here's Senator Kamala Harris. Her new memoir, We hold.
The truth
Jeez, and
we-
you know. See, you rush me and then I can't read. The Truths We Hold, an American Journey is out today, and so is her children's book.
Yes.
Superheroes are everywhere. And we'll be right back. Okay?
The wild new season of The Bachelor kicked off last night. And here's how the co-hosts stacked up in the Bachelor Fantasy League. Are you still a Bachelor Fantasy League virgin?
You accept this, Rose?
Then get to abc.com/BFL to sign up, set your weekly lineup, and earn points based on how your bachelorettes perform. Then, don't miss The Bachelor Monday nights on ABC.